Good afternoon, BSAD 333. This is Janessa, your primary instructor. So we are here now at the end of week 4. So as usual, I'm going to go through what is due this weekend and also to help you get prepared for your practice interview next week. So first off, due this Sunday, February 7th at 11:59 p.m., you need to complete your Module 9 quiz. You also need to write your career fair elevator speech, or you can also do a video if you choose to and post to the discussion board. And then lastly, you need to start preparing for your practice interview and resume review, which is next week. So thinking about your practice interview and resume review next week, a couple of logistic things to go over. So first off, check-in is at the crib. And there will be a career services at CBA table in the crib where you will check in, where the employer will then greet you. Feedback forms will be provided there, so once you check in, you'll fill out a form with your name and a little bit of other information, and that you will hand to the employer once you get started with your practice interview. The interview will actually take place in the Colonial Room down the hall. It will be set up with about 14 to 15 tables in an open room. So it will get a little loud. So it isn't the most ideal situation, but it is exactly like it would be if you were to receive an interview after the career fair. So it is another good style to practice in. So just be aware that that is how the interview will take place, so it's not alarming when you walk into the room and see lots of other people interviewing. Once your interview begins, expect the interview to last 25 to 30 minutes. Most likely it'll be a behavioral-based interview. Companies are told have sample questions they can give, but they're also told that we want them to interview like a student is actually interviewing at their company. So every employer takes it a little bit of a different way. After your interview, it will be followed up with feedback. So you will receive feedback based on your interviewing as well as your resume. To begin preparing for this event, first, research the organization that you're meeting with. More than likely, you'll be asked a question, what do you know about us? So even though you don't need to know tons of facets of the organization, know a little bit so that you can speak to that. Secondly, know what questions you'll be asked at the end know what questions you will ask at the end of the interview. So you always, always, always ask a question at the end of the interview. It's a big red flag if you do not. Thirdly, figure out what you're going to wear. So it is required to wear professional dress. You should all know what that is after Module 4. If you do not remember, make sure you go back and look. And then lastly, bring 2 copies of your resume in either a Padfolio or a folder to store them in. A Padfolio is the most effective way to do this, so you have also room to write, store business cards, and I know, as I mentioned, Delta Sigma Pi is selling these, and they will be at the event selling these throughout the day. So I'll have some more information on that next week in Monday's announcement. After the interview, make sure to send a thank you note to the employer. This can be a card or an email within 48 hours. And then also, to make sure you have their contact information, ask for a business card at the end of the interview. Lastly, employers will be keeping your feedback forms. So they'll be returning that to myself, and I'll be scanning those, and you'll be getting an emailed copy sometime on Friday. Also with practice interviews, there's some open slots. So on Tuesday, February 9th, we have a couple of companies that have open slots currently. So if you are looking for additional practice, please email me and I will get you on the schedule. Next, we have our elevator speech this week, which is due on Sunday. So with this assignment, it is to help prepare you for the Business and Liberal Arts Career Fair on February 17th. You should tailor it to companies you plan to interact with. So it can be for a specific company you plan to talk to or potentially an industry. And then with this, again, you can either choose to submit a written elevator speech or about a 30-second video. Lastly, I've been seeing some improvements on 321 feedback, but I wanted to provide another example. So really go into some depth to really give your peers some great feedback on how they can improve their assignment. So this only makes everyone better if everyone puts in the time to really give some constructive feedback. Next, here's our employers and residents for next week. And lastly, that's it. So again, thank you for everything so far. You're getting really, really close. We only have 2 weeks left after this. Well, technically 3, with the last week is more evaluations and that kind of stuff. So please make sure you prepare for your interview. Employers notice this. They talk to me afterwards and always say students that impress them and wow them, and that's what gets them coming back and creates a great University of Nebraska Lincoln reputation. So I hope I know everyone will do well, but do take this seriously, because also if you do not show up for your practice interview, you will automatically no pass the class. So I don't do that to scare anyone, but do know that is the consequence if you do forget. So if you can't remember right now, you can also go out onto Husker HireLink under the OCI activity tab to check when it is. Make sure that's in your calendar. And other than that, if you have any questions, you can always email and reach out to me. Have a fantastic weekend.